Yeah, this is Peter Morosky. This is Peter Morosky, the nurser, and today I want to talk about a certain scene that has bothered me for years in Underworld Blood Wars that no one else seems to bring up. And no, it's not Maris's stupid plan. It's not Maris's stupid plan or him killing Michael and draining him dry. I've already talked about that. No, I want to talk about the scene where Veta, that weird, bald-looking vampire dude, tells David about him being the son of Amelia. After David tells David that his parents stayed at the Nordic Coven during the pregnancy, Veta said that Victor grew suspicious and sent Samira and her men to investigate Amelia's whereabouts. Now, a lot of people might think, oh, this is not that weird. Oh, it makes sense. Oh, Amelia's a hiding out. Why is she hiding out? But after I explain this, you'll see why this line makes absolutely no sense. Because Victor wasn't even awake during this time and period. Because anyone who knows the underworld lore is that after William Corvinus, the first werewolf, was captured and locked up in that prison that Celine's father helped create, it was established that only one vampire elder would rule at a time before waking up the other to rule, and then they go to sleep, right? Because if you watch the first film, that's the way it works. So one of them goes to sleep, one of them rules for 100 years, while the others sleep for 200 years, right? So that's how the cycle goes. And with this, some people must think that this means that David must have been conceived during this time, during the ancient times when all three elders were still awake. False. This is false. Because one, Celine, well, if this was the case, Celine would have known who he was, would have likely known him, since she is the best death dealer in history. She would have recognized she would have known like a promising vampire like this, right? Even being honest, I still don't really find David all that impressive, but within the lore, he is impressive. So the fact that she didn't know who this guy was when she first met him says a lot. And also him knowing who Celine is in the fourth film, when Thomas asks David, "Do you know who this is?" and he says yes, and then David says, "It's we who betrayed her." Yeah, to me that was just more plot convenience more than anything else. It's just to make him more likable. How this vampire doesn't care who Celine is and all that kind of stuff, right? So, and two, the main thing is that the main thing is David is only 25 years old. 25 years old in Underworld Awakening. He was only born in 1990, just 13 years before the events of the first film. Because if you do your research, the first film was made in 2003, and that's the time period the movie was set in, right? If you do your research on it. And Amelia was the one, like I said, there's only one elder supposed to be ruling at a time, and Amelia was the one ruling elder at this time. Because the next awakening ceremony was for Marcus. In the first film, you watch it, Amelia was coming to the freaking old world coven to awaken Marcus for his turn to rule, not Victor. Because if you watch the first film, I actually watched the first film yesterday. I actually rewatched the first film yesterday. So because, not because I did research, I just watched it because I wanted to watch the movie because I love it so much. But back to the point. If you watch that movie, if you watch the scene where Victor's awake and he tells Craven to summon Marcus, Craven just told Victor that Celine woke him up a full century ahead of schedule, and Amelia was supposed to come in and awaken Marcus. And then when it was Victor's turn to rule, and when Marcus's time was done, Marcus was supposed to come in and awaken Victor, right? So there's no way that Victor would grow suspicious of Amelia being at the Nordic Coven, because in this time period, Victor's still still sleeping corpse, right? Now you can see why this line from Veta of Victor growing suspicious makes absolutely no freaking sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It would have made more sense him saying Craven was growing suspicious since he's if you watch the first one again, watch the first film, since he's the regent of Victor's coven, because Craven killed Lucian, and so Victor made him in charge of his coven while he goes into hibernation. So it would have made sense to have Craven be suspicious and Craven sent Samira to go investigate, because Samira is loyal to Victor even after more than a decade after he had his head cut off by Celine. It makes sense that she would follow the orders of someone Victor chose to lead the coven while he was asleep. So if Craven it would have made more sense to have Craven tell Samira that he's growing suspicious of where Amelia has been, why she's spending so much time at the Nordic Coven. Because if vampire pregnancies are anything like the human's pregnancy in this, because this is not mythical stuff like in Van Helsing, no. She would have been at the Nordic Coven for nearly 9 months, with her pregnancy, right? So this would have made Craven suspicious, and it got Samira to send her and her men to go investigate, right? And by the time they got there, Millie had given birth, and she already took off and left David with Thomas, right? No, which I gotta say, damn, if you watch it, even though she doesn't appear in the film that much, in the first 2 films that much, you see how beautiful Amelia is, right? So the fact that Thomas, that old-looking guy, was able to score that, then yeah, Thomas must have some good riz, right? Anyway, but yeah, so Craven saying to me would have made more sense. You tell me if I'm wrong about that, right? But then again, this is Underworld Blood Wars. Nothing in this movie barely makes any sense. This is Underworld Blood Wars, so nothing in this movie makes any sense. But Michael Corvin, a lycan vampire hybrid, getting somehow. If you watch the 4th movie, Celine, an enhanced vampire, sure, she was able to recover quite quickly from being frozen, right? And she was able to kill who knows how many guards. And yet they have Michael Corvin just be weak and fragile after escaping, and then him being made a bitch by a lycan in human form with a random gunshot, even though Michael has taken multiple gunshots in the first couple of films and the anime film. And then somehow getting killed by a cut to the throat. And then somehow Celine getting mystical speed when she already had super speed. Because if you watch the 4th movie where she goes to interrogate that science guy in his apartment, you can see how she busts through the door and all of a sudden he's right behind him and slams him against the glass and all that. So she already had super speed, and so that didn't make no sense to me. And also in her not using said mystical speed to kill Marius and get it over with. Because if you watch that scene, she kills a bunch of random lycans like this, right? When she's looking like that, right? So that made no sense. Just a little plot convenience. You killed Michael, that kind of stuff, and that pisses me off. That scene still pisses me off to this day. And then also I've said this before, and Len Wiseman saying Michael will overshadow the Mud and Dora relationship between Celine and Eve, when Eve was only like in the last fucking 15 seconds of this film. The film, right? It's like, and also I've said this before too, and Anna Forrester claiming that David, the wuss. To me, I don't look. Please don't come at me. Look, this is not a fan. I'm not deteriorating Theo James. Okay, I'm just talking about the character. David is a complete. Like I've said this before in my Underworld video that I made a while ago. Is that to me, David is a complete wuss, and Anna Forrester claimed he's better and more special than Michael Corvin somehow. If you want to know more details on that, why I think that's bogus, go check out that video on why Scott Speedman didn't come back after Underworld Evolution. And then you have, no one brings this up. I've known this since high school, and I'm surprised no one has ever brought this up. One of the producers, Richard Wright, after the 4th film was made, he said and stated that Scott Speedman would return in Underworld 5 since 2012, after the 4th one was made. And the 5th one comes around, and they say, oh, no, we're just gonna have him boot him to the side, we'll have another stand-in, we'll just kill him off screen in a blurry flashback. And Richard Wright has said nothing about this. Like he produced, he helped produce this, and he didn't come out and say this. He hasn't come out and apologized, and he hasn't given an explanation. Nothing. He hasn't said sorry. He hasn't done anything. No, because when you think about it, he basically lied to the fans. Like he got the fans all hyped up, for nothing, and that includes myself, right? So. So you see my point. So anyway, back to the topic of the video. Now you can see now you can clearly see why this bit where Veda tells David that Victor grew suspicious makes absolutely no sense. And also, I just want to say one thing on the cover here. The writing's a bit reversed. I apologize. It says, "Oh, this is the best Underworld yet." This is not even close. This is not even close. I actually would prefer to watch that short 17 animated film on YouTube, Underworld Endless War, than watch this, because at least that short film does Michael Corvin justice. This is just bullshit. The only good qualification is this. I mean, look at that. I mean, come on, you got to watch a movie with a woman looking like that, right? Right. So this has been Pooh Morosky, the Nurser. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to know why Scott Speedman did not come back as Michael Corvin in the Underworld franchise, or why Marius' so-called grand plan makes no sense, please check out my videos and all of that on my channel. Thank you and have a great day.